Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 mod career mode here with Charles Leclerc for round number 11 at the German GP at Hockenheim. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the British GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that sets up this race quite nicely, and it's quite a crucial one at the kind of halfway stage of the season pretty much, because we go into this race level on points with Lewis Hamilton for the championship. Sebastian Vettel not too far behind, neither is Valtteri Bottas after a bit of a topsy-turvy rollercoaster race where, spoiler alert, we had a bit of a interesting spin at high speed, and so that was a bit of a recovery drive for us at the British GP, hoping for a bit of a calmer one at the German GP, but in recent years we've had a quite erratic German GP, so we'll see how it goes, especially on the game. Hockenheim is quite a good race really, because the slipstream effect is very powerful down this back straight, and speaking of that, we go down the back straight in our one-shot qualifying attempt here. If you're new around here with the 2019 mod on the 2018 game, one-shot qualifying is the best way to go about it to make sure the mods work correctly, and so we're here on this one-shot lap, this one chance to get up to the top of the grid order, and you can see there on the top left, for a moment there, we were P1, now we're down to P2, down to P4 as we hit a lot of understeer, and the car doesn't want to bite in the last sector, so really a shame, because we actually found a lot of time in the swing through into the stadium section, but across the line instead, it'll be P5, and surprise, surprise, I think it was a Mercedes car on pole position there, but for us, it's P5, the third row of the grid. That's a bit frustrating, considering we were P1 for a fair few number of corners in that lap, but alas, in the end, it won't be us, it'll be Lewis Hamilton that is on pole position then. Our teammate, though, does very well to get on the front row, Sebastian Vettel at his home GP in second place. Then comes Valtteri Bottas, the second Mercedes car, in third, with Pierre Gasly doing another stunning job in P4 in the Red Bull Honda. Then ourselves as Leclerc alongside Verstappen, then comes Carlos Sainz and Raikkonen sharing a row, Hülkenberg and Magnussen round out the top 10. Then you've got Romain Grosjean, Lando Norris, Dan Ricciardo and Sergio Perez down to P14, Antonio Giovinazzi and Dakar Fiat share a row, then next is Lance Stroll, Alex Albon on the second last row, and then finally on the last row, unsurprisingly, is the two Williams cars, Robert Kubica and George Russell, to round out the grid for the German GP. So strategy-wise for us here at Hockenheim, it's going to be a pretty straightforward strategy, I think, for most people, where the default is a two-stop, because these starting set of tyres, the old soft tyres, don't really go too long into this Grand Prix. Very much almost like a qualifying tyre. They're only going to go about 4 or 5 laps at best, and so we'll go on to 2 sets of soft tyres to take us through to the end of the race. The only caveat will be maybe someone outside the top 10 might be able to spring a surprise of track position with a one-stop, but I think everyone in the top 10 should be on the same strategy, so it will just be a straight-out fight, I think, rather than a strategy battle today, which is good for us, because I think there's more pace in the car than we've shown. Vettel got on the front row, so I think, again, like has been in the case in the past in this career mode, actually, Vettel's showing me up a bit and showing what the car is fully capable of, so let's try and make up for it then in race days. We go to 5 red lights then for round number 11 at the German GP for the 2019 season. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway, and it's a good start for us compared to the Red Bull and Mercedes car Bottas. Bottas really bogs down into turn 1, though. He has a look on the outside. Gasly gets pinned by Bottas's right-hand side and gets a bit of a tank slapper on, and that means we can get on an attack, and around the outside we go into P4 momentarily. Gasly might come back, and it's just like Vettel squeezed out Bottas. Gasly will squeeze me into the next left-hander, but we're not going to have any of it. We get the elbows out, and on the exit actually push past him, and we're going to get up into P4 eventually then. And so as we go down the back straight, then done a good job to get past Gasly. You know, that could have been an accident straight away, because he got such a slow momentum out of turn 1 that we could have lost the front wing there on the Frenchman. Meanwhile, away from us, right ahead of us, is our teammate battling Bottas, and he's actually been overtaken by the Finn, and so the Finn makes it a 1-2 for Mercedes here at the the homeland, the home Grand Prix for the Silver Arrow, so they'll be very happy with that. Let's see though, Vettel has more pace in the tank. He showed that in qualifying, as I'm confident we have, so let's see if Vettel can maybe try and catch back up to Bottas, and we're going to try and get on the back of this there. We're not quite in near enough to make a move in the brake zone quite yet, but you can see we're closing right up now, nearly nose to tail with Bottas and Vettel. So at this point, I think the game plan is just to kind of wait and see what Vettel does with Bottas. Ideally, Vettel overtakes Bottas maybe into this hairpin, and we try and catch him napping and also take the Mercedes car, but Bottas goes defensive. It's making life very hard for Vettel there. Even with DRS, he goes around the outside, and then he's going to be able to be squeezed out though by the Finn. That's exactly what happens. The Finn gets the traction down a little bit quicker than Sebastian, so he's back down to P3. So for now, it's a good attempt, but close but no cigar for Sebastian Vettel for that P2 position, and all the while, that's massively helping out Hamilton. Look at the minimap there. Hamilton is dominating this GP at the moment and is really just running away with it. So it's kind of crisis time for me and Vettel. We both need to get past Bottas right now, and you can see he's not making life very easy for me. At this point, if there was team radio and team orders, I'd be kind of saying, you know, guys, can we get Vettel out of the way, because I am faster, as has been the case a few times in the real-life season so far in 2019 with Leclerc and Vettel doing that kind of dance around with the engineers and the kind of strategy play. But for now, alas, I'm going to have to stick behind him and just kind of hope and pray that he can overtake Bottas, or at least I can overtake him now on this back straight, because Sector 3, you know, where I got caught up by Vettel, it's notoriously hard to overtake there. A lot of dirty air and just a narrow circuit really plays into it. So you can see again we get brake check by Vettel as I get very close to breaking my front wing, maybe on his rear end. So getting at this point very impatient, but thankfully I have DRS overtake mode rich mix going, and I'm so much closer now. We're building the slipstream. We're going to fake to the left, then go to the right, send Vettel the dummy and go to the inside now and hopefully try and squeeze him out on the exit, just like Valtteri Bottas did. But he's my teammate, of course. I need to give him a bit more respect than Valtteri might give Sebastian there, and he's actually still there. He's got a good exit, Vettel, to be fair, and he goes committed on the outside. We make some contact there on the front right. Vettel getting the elbows out, so it's getting a little bit frosty between us two Ferrari teammates here. We're going to send one to the inside. Vettel lifts off to give us the room, and on the exit we're still neck and neck. Absolutely amazing wheel-to-wheel racing between us two Ferraris. We're still side by side. Vettel goes the long way around. We've shoved him off a little bit towards the road. We squeezed him out because he didn't have half a car length beside me. His nose was the only thing alongside me, and so at that point I decided that was my corner to take, and so we took the wide line on the racing line, and Vettel kept committed there and you know, had to dip a tire to the grass. So got a little bit you know, a little bit too close for comfort there maybe between us two. Don't want a Ferrari civil war here, remember, but I need to get past him because I feel like I've got better pace than Sebastian here, and so hopefully in the dirty air I can try and chase after Bottas. But for now, to be fair, I can't actually think about that because Vettel goes for a dive around the outside. I didn't have the best exit of turn 1. You saw I got a bit of an oversteer on the exit, so I had to go defensive there to that next right-hander and down the main straight here. Vettel now is the one that has DRS, of course. We squeeze him to the right, but Vettel's not easily scared off there on the right-hand side. He keeps committed there, probably even dipped a tyre in the grass on the edge of it, and now he's got the inside line. We go wide. We're going to cut in for this switchback line. It's going to be a textbook switchback to try and get on the power a little bit earlier, and it will work out for us as we gain the speed there as we enter the apex for the next corner. We'll squeeze him out as we look behind us, and we're going to be up into P3 once more, and hopefully this time now in Sector 3, Vettel nowhere near us, and we can try and get away from him and try and chase after Valtteri Bottas. That's the main goal, but you can see, oh my god, the tyres are very much going off as we get a big slap of oversteer and go complete opposite lock in, understeering nearly into the gravel as well. So honestly, I think it's time for a pit stop, maybe as my engineers maybe said, you might have heard in the background there. So I'm going to come in. It's lap 5, so like I said, the tyres probably only go to about lap 5. Lap 6 if you really stretch them, which obviously now I'm going to force Vettel to stretch them, and as well as Hamilton, because it looks like Bottas is going to come in with me there. So us two have thought alike, and so we're in for that first pit stop of the afternoon, then onto a set of soft tyres, and probably the right choice for us because I don't think I would have been able to actually keep Vettel at bay on that next lap if I continued on. This way I get a bit of an undercut basically, and we should be in some good clean air because I think we're actually quite in some pocket of space there because the two Williams cars go through, and there's no one obviously going to be behind the Williams cars unless something went horribly wrong for someone else in the Grand Prix. So we've got some decent amount of clean air now to try and close up to the train. But saying that, we actually close up a little bit too quickly for my liking here because obviously these guys are going so slow compared to the top car paces, and I'm trying to go around the outside of Russell. Doesn't work out, and Russell's really parking the car. He's got obviously he doesn't need to let me through. He's not under blue flags here, but this is getting so frustrating. I'm losing hand over fist here. You can see so many seconds being lost being behind George Russell. The Williams car absolutely slow as a boat, and we go down the inside into turn 1. Finally made that overtake work, but up into P12, but we lost so much time there, and now we have to also get past another Williams car, and so you can see, visually speaking, I feel like we've lost a lot of time there to Bottas. The only thing is, Bottas still has some traffic to go through, and so let's hope that Bottas gets hit with an equal amount of traffic maybe later on in this stint, and I can catch back some time. But for now, I've definitely lost out mega time there, and the only kind of solace for me is Vettel has not got ahead of me. It looks like he got held up in the pit lane maybe with some traffic with pit stops there because he's behind me well and truly, even though he was so close to me before we made the pit stop. So both of those Ferrari cars being caught out in the strategy in the pit stop phase. That's really quite unfortunate. But we close up then to Alexander Albon. Again, there's going to be another instance of it's a narrow track here at Hockenheim, especially in the second half of the lap, and I just can't get past him. We don't have the speed to make a move on the outside or inside for this next right-hander. We're going to gain a lot of time mid-apex as we get on the power very early, though. and we switch it to the outside. It's going to be very, very tough to make an overtake. We try it. We've hit the rear end, and oh, just like was the case at Silverstone, we nearly went spinning there. That front right tyre seemingly is quite deadly these days on this game. I don't know the physics have been tweaked or somewhat. I didn't feel like this game used to be an auto spin if you hit the front right tyre sidewall in that kind of way, but I've nearly had 2 spins like that, pretty much identical in that same kind of fashion there. Thankfully, we did hold it through, but nearly. We're pretty much T-bone kind of parallel, perpendicular is the word, to Albon there, so that was very, very close, and count my lucky stars. But now we have made a move on his teammate Kvyat, and now we're going to make a move on Lance Stroll. Big dive down the inside. We got it a little bit too hot, though, into the brake zone, so Stroll was able to get a switch back on us, but we're going to get the power down early. Traction is going to prevail, and we're going to be up into P8, and you can see there Bottas side by side with Antonio Giovinazzi. Once again, Antonio Giovinazzi is playing his part of helping Ferrari a little bit there in the junior Alfa Romeo racing team, and Bottas has been held up massively. So what did I say? Hopefully Bottas gets held up in traffic enough that kind of, equals out the time I lost to the Williams car. So we go for a big dive to the inside of Giovinazzi there. A little bit more contact. Sorry, Antonio, but we have to get past you, and you are in the junior team, so you should make things easier for us. And we're up into P7 now, and we can now look at the back of Valtteri Bottas, and you can see there 3 cars up ahead of him, all for traffic, all for position. And so I'm licking my lips now. This could be the opportunity where we overtake Bottas and try and get up into a net P2 in this Grand Prix, As you can see there, 2 drivers side by side. Bottas going to try and make an overtake here. He's really slowed himself up. It's Grosjean going slowly. Bottas down the inside. We've gone for a wide line, cut in real tight on the next right-hander, and that's going to be a lovely exit for us. On the outside then of Bottas we go. We've already passed Grosjean there, and we're on our way with DRS Rich Mix going, and we've got past Valtteri, and in fact we're actually going to maybe try and close up on the next cars. It's the Renault going very slow in a straight line there. That Renault package not good in the engine department. Ricardo slow. We go deep and cut back in for another switchback move at the hairpin. We've got the traction down. Look at the power. It's absolutely amazing traction there compared to the Aussie man, and we're up the order ahead of the Renault. We squeeze them out, and so that's a sweet 3-man overtake in the span of pretty much about a sector and a bit there. And now we close up to Sergio Perez. Could be 4 overtakes in 1 lap. This is going to be a mega lap for us in this Grand Prix. We're close up to Perez. We go deep on purpose because we get the traction mid-apex, and look at that. What a move that is, if I do say so myself, round the outside. Absolutely amazing. I was so satisfied. That moment where I knew I could stamp on the throttle mid-corner and just sweep past him was absolutely awesome there. And now we're up into P3 on the road, already a net P2, because Norris obviously is going to be a slam dunk overtake, you would say, as we open DRS. Rich Mix going. We've burnt a lot of fuel here, to be fair, so we're going to have to save some fuel later on this race, but we jimmy to the right then, taking a nice wide line with DRS open. But oh my god, as we go in the brake zone there, Norris very aggressive in the brake zone there. Maybe I went too cautious not to lock up there, but Norris comes back us there. Of course, we know the McLaren is pretty good in straight line, and here he goes. He's on the outside. The McLaren is very good in straight line, confirming there as he's passed me. I tried to make a fake and dive to the inside. Doesn't work out completely, but he leaves me some room. A mistake that is for him, because now we get the traction down on the outside for the next right-hander and finally get up into P2. But that was a little bit tougher than I thought it would be. But eventually now we move on all the way to lap 18 then. Unfortunately, I haven't really caught up too much to Hamilton because the tyre wear started to kick in. So I'm going to come in a little bit earlier, maybe than I wanted to. Maybe a lap or 2 early, not majorly early. And we'll come in for that second stint now on another set of soft tyres there. But, really awesome racing there to get past those 4 cars in 1 lap. Absolutely awesome racing at Hockenheim. And now, under the pit stop there, you can see a virtual safety car has come out because I think that was Danica Fiat is out of this Grand Prix, the Russian in the Toro Rosso. So, virtual safety car now means that it's not the most ideal way because we're already making the pit stop. Would have been better if the virtual safety car came out as we entered the pit lane, but essentially obviously everyone has to drive to a delta time, so we're going to gain a bit of free time on Hamilton here because he would have had to trundle round at that delta time pace, whilst in the pit lane speed is faster than the delta time pace you have to drive around. So we're already going down the pit lane as the virtual safety car came out, but we still gain maybe 3-4 seconds there perhaps on Hamilton, and that was just about the gap to Hamilton as we enter the pit lane. So here we go now. We go to lap 21. We set the fast lap of the Grand Prix through turn 1. There is Hamilton, and we have overtaken him. We're up into P1 of the German Grand Prix for the first time in this race. The virtual safety car has come to our aid, but you can see on the bottom right, we've got issues though. I'm nearly half a lap of fuel in the red here because I've been pushing on that out lap to set that fast lap of the Grand Prix. I've not got any ERS left. Look at that blue bar. It's completely depleted. I've got to save fuel as well. Hamilton's got DRS, and he just pushes past us. there, and that's a slam dunk overtake for him. I've got no ERS, literally nearly none. It wasn't deploying by the time we entered that brake zone for the hairpin, and now we're going to go to lean mixture because we've got half a lap to save a fuel, and that's not easy, because remember, these cars, it's not like my Season 8 of vanilla career mode. These cars are very thirsty, and so we spent the entire last stint saving fuel, unfortunately for me, and also getting back that ERS, and so in the end, we had a glimmer of hope of getting P1, but in the end it will be Hamilton that is going to come through for a very dominant, actually comfortable race win at the German GP. But for us, it's a good recovery from P5 to P2, and still a pretty damn fun race with that 4-man overtake in the middle of the Grand Prix. So I will take that. We've limited the damage, I guess, to Hamilton. We're level on points into this race. He's not going to take the lead of the championship, but we limited the damage, but also getting a point for the fast lap of the Grand Prix, I believe. So I'll take that in the end. P2 at the German GP.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Brilliant stuff from Mercedes today. That's another historic win. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So in the end, in the 2019 season, there's another Mercedes win. It's actually felt like it's been a long time since one of us Ferrari cars, myself or Vettel, have won a GP in this career mode, actually. But nonetheless, we've been actually so consistent as a team and as drivers that we're actually still very much in the championship fight. Although I feel like Mercedes have got the kind of home share, majority share of the race wins this season, at least to my memory at least. I may be wrong, but yeah, Hamilton gets that win, but we get 19 points, that is, compared to 18, because for that fast lap of the Grand Prix we got there when we're pushing hard on that outlap after our second pit stop of the Grand Prix. So us in second place, Bottas finished out the podium. Vettel had a very tough time after the first stint there. He really carried on struggling, and he finished behind Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull, so a bit of a poor show for him in this Grand Prix at his home race in P5. Lando Norris does great in P7 there, ahead of the likes of Perez, Ricciardo, and the other cars that finished the Grand Prix. Raikkonen, I think it was, got the tail end of the points, but you can see in the championship now, Hamilton does take the lead, but we limited the damage there with 6 points behind Hamilton rather than 7, 173 to 179. You can see there, like I said, it felt like it's been an age since one of us Ferrari cars has won a Grand Prix, and yet me and Vettel are still in second and third, not too far off the top there to Hamilton. So we're doing a good job, I think, as a team. We just need to try and lock in and try and convert some of these good qualifying results, front rows and stuff, to race wins, really. But we move on to the constructors. Mercedes now are ahead of us by a marginal 2 points there. So finally, the consistency maybe isn't enough for us as a team at Ferrari, and we need to try and buck up and try and get back to winning ways like we did at the very start of the season there. But nonetheless, a really entertaining German GP here today. Really enjoyable in the second stint. So guys, if you did enjoy that as much as I did to drive it, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been around for 100 today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.